9, 2023. Are there any citizen comments? I'm really not in a good spot, am I?
And I did wanna just propose, so we do have a new commission member.
Yes.
And because it was kind of a quick turnaround since he was appointed on Monday, we could, someone could, if they want to, propose a motion to amend the agenda so we can do an introduction for Brent.
Okay, is he here?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good, good. That must be you.
Yeah, that's,
Oh, thank you for being here. So if someone would like to do that,
I'll make a motion that we modify the agenda to include introductions.
second.
it's been moved and seconded, moved and seconded, that we amend the agenda to include an introduction. Perfect. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. So, we have an introduction. Are you going to do that for us?
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
I'm Brent Borsa. I work at Clearwater Paper in the corporate capital engineering department. Actually work out of Spokane, live in town here, worked out at the mill for 9 years in different roles, and kind of curious to learn more about how the city does projects and understand stuff.
Great. Are you local?
I am, yeah. Yeah, I live in Lewiston, my wife and I, and we have 2 kids. We live
Great.
in town here, so.
That's wonderful. We appreciate you wanting to do this.
Yeah.
So thank you. All right.
Did we introduce the rest of ourselves, or
We should probably do that.
this way or that
Okay,
way?
I'm Kathy Schroeder, Chair, Lewiston City Council.
Haley Kelly, Public Works Specialist.
Kevin Kelly, no relation. Ryan Rader.
And Laura, right?
Thank you. Okay, moving on to citizen comments, and I don't see any citizens, I guess. So we can move on to that. The consent
Just a
agenda.
quick
I'm sorry.
question,
Yes,
Jared.
ma'am.
Do you ever get, I guess we should also ask you, do you ever get emails in for
Correct.
citizen comments?
I do not,
Okay.
and neither for voicemail either.
And if you do, let me know.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That was a good thought.
I just realized, yeah, they may not show up, but they could totally contact our Haley here.
Okay. So moving on to item 3, the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these issues unless a member so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered under section 4, items removed from the consent agenda. Do we have any items that we'd like to remove? Okay, do we have an approval of the July 12, 2023 meeting minutes?
I'll move to approve the July 12th, 2023 meeting minutes.
Second, thank you. Kevin? Kevin Kelly seconded, sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. So then we have a presentation, the Comprehension Plan Rewrite Phase 2 Survey. So that's you, Katie, huh? Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, my name is Katie Hollingshead. I'm the Assistant City Planner, and I'm here. This body was just being formed when we did phase 1 of our comprehensive plan rewrite surveys. So I did not get to come hang out with you guys for that one. But now that you're fully functional, we are going to do phase 2 survey with you guys. So comprehensive plan is a planning document that is required by the state of Idaho for all municipalities to have. Ours for the city of Lewiston was last redone in 1999. So it is a little old. It projected out until 2020, identifying things like land use, schools, housing, a gamut. There are 17 different areas that it has to cover. So we have engaged with a consultant, Logan Simpson, who is helping to spearhead the rewrite of the plan. So like I said, we are in phase 2. So phase 1 was developing a kind of a tagline for it, and then going after some kind of different areas that drew citizens' comments and input from different commissions and boards that led us to where we're at today, which is discussing visions, themes, and opportunities. So vision is overall, theme is how you break down that overall, and then opportunities are where you see us going. So I have paper surveys that I'm going to go through with you guys, and I would like for you to fill out, and then I will hand enter them into the system. And then I also have some survey cards that you can take back to your places of work or other involvements that you can try to get those who you know to also participate with us. The more people that participate in the survey, the better. This is definitely an item where, you know, more input is useful rather than less input. Yes.
So you said it's required by the state of Idaho to do this comprehensive plan.
Correct.
How often, since it was done in 1999, does statute say someplace how often this has to be repeated?
It does not.
It does not.
It does not. It does not
So
tell you
it's
how
not-
often. So some places redo it every 5 years, some every 10. Like I said, we're at 20 plus. So this is something that the planning division of community development has been pushing for the last couple of years, knowing that it kind of sunsetted in 2020, because that's what the planning horizon in 99 was for.
Okay.
So we've had updates to it through various other items. Transportation plan was done, that updated the transportation chapter. We did some waterfront planning, we did some special area planning. So there's been some small updates, but not a full rewrite. And some communities will just do updates or like refreshes of their comprehensive plan and not a full rewrite. We're at the point where we just need to scrap the whole thing and start over.
Okay. So are you looking, I looked through all the chapters, I read through most of them, and are you keeping the same chapters to that structure, or are you?
Yes, so the chapters
add
come from the
any-
17 different areas that are designated by the state that we have to cover, so.
Right, but did, what, based on that, you can always add sort of something based on surveys or something like that too? Like if
Correct.
an area didn't, based on your responses from the survey, and you're kind of seeing a trend or something like that, because those are kind of really standard ones.
Yes, so I don't think that we've seen a trend towards adding any additional chapters. I think we've seen a trend on the kinds of information and input that we've been getting from the public on how the internal workings of each of those chapters is gonna go. And so a big part of that is going to be this phase 2 survey and the opportunities section of it. Because that's where the public and all of our city boards and commissions and everybody that I get to reach out and touch with this are going to be able to provide us with what would you like to see happen? And it's what would you like to see happen in all of those different areas.
Because one area I kind of saw recently kind of trending kind of on a national, it's kind of a quality of life one, is that they're
Yes.
kind of adding now.
Yes, and so
That's
we
kind of
actually
a-
have
It's not traditional, but they're adding that.
correct,
as-
and we are actually adding that. We were awarded a grant through the Blue Cross of Blue Idaho Foundation to focus on a health aspect. And so that gave us additional monies that were not from the city to add that component in. And so they are looking at the 7 determinants of health and going through each of those. And we have sub-consultants who are trying to nail down the different pieces that will go with that.
Does that kind of benchmark where Lewiston is compared to other cities in Idaho and nationwide and provide recommendations?
No, it's not really a comparison situation. It's really just focusing on Lewiston and what the population of Lewiston wants to see happen with Lewiston.
And it's planned and get things improved or?
That's the hope. Whether or not city council supports that and helps push those initiatives will be seen. But that's the point of the plan, yes, is to identify areas for improvement, areas where we would like to see revitalization, areas where we would like to see growth, different things like that. That is the entire purpose of that plan. Whether or not the citizens and the council support funding, financing, movement, initiatives, zone changes, policy changes, et cetera, to make all of those things happen, that's a different ball of wax. So we're hoping, our consultants are working really hard on making sure that we do have implementation portions in each chapter to show kind of like what measurable steps would be moving forward as we identify all these different opportunities that are provided by the public in general. So that hopefully we can kind of lay out a map for the current council and future councils to help push things forward.
Isn't our meeting Monday at 12?
Steering committee meeting is Monday at 12,
Yeah,
yes.
so if you wanted to attend and take a look at what we do, it's here, Monday at noon.
Yeah, so there is a steering committee that works with the consultants. It has a member from different boards and commissions, it has different members of the public, representatives from like Valley Vision, from the chamber, different organizations like that that also kind of have a stake in what's going on, the college, CETA, blah, blah, blah. And so they help kind of direct the work of the consultants, and then, like I said, we have surveys that provide feedback. Yes.
Yes.
So how long is the survey out there? I mean,
So
is
this
it
survey will be until September 17th.
September 17th?
Yep, so it just opened today, I put it on the website yesterday. So it'll be open until September 17th. We will have 2 public outreach events at the Lewiston Farmers Market, so on August 26th and then on September 16th, where we will have a booth and we will also be garnering. I'm also visiting every single board and commission that the city has to have everybody do hand surveys, which I will then do. And then again, like I said, there is a city webpage specific to Envision Lewiston for 2044, which is our webpage for this, and I'll be giving you guys cards to pass out, and we also put cards at all of our city building locations, and then kind of whoever I can like sucker into having cards for me, I give them cards to.
So, is 30 days enough time to reach out for something, such a big plan like
So
this?
there are multiple sections, so this is just for these specific questions. And like we had a previous one that was just for those specific questions, and then there'll be a phase 3 and there'll be specific questions on that, so, yes.
So you want us to do this today, or you
Yes,
want
you're
us
gonna
to?
do it with me, and you're gonna hand them to me, and then I'm gonna leave.
Oh, that way you get it done.
Yeah, because otherwise it doesn't,
I
like
know, I
100%, like,
understand it.
I love all of you
I
guys for
always do.
volunteering your time, but the one, commission that I just let them take it, I didn't get any back, so, you do it with me,
Good
I'm gonna
plan.
walk you
You were
through,
like, oh, you wanted it today.
yeah. You're gonna fill it out, and then you're gonna give it to me, and I'm gonna go back to my office and enter. See, look at Kevin being an overachiever.
Oh, overachiever.
Okay, so like I said, this phase 2 survey is called Vision, Themes, and Opportunities. So like I said, vision is the overall, this is high level, what we want Lewiston to look like in 2044, right?
So these are,
Themes are how you break down that vision into manageable pieces. Opportunities are things that we would like to see happen that are not already called out, okay?
so we don't think of this as today.
This
how
is
we
not
do
today,
it.
this is
It's in the future. how-
Envision
That's so
Lewiston.
hard for me.
2044. Where do we want to see Lewiston in 2044? So, question 1. Which of these?
Pull it out,
Oh,
Dave.
yes. Sorry. You weren't here when I handed it out.
No, it's okay.
Okay, so which of these words or phrases describes Lewiston right now? So, right now, as you walk out the door, right now.
Shoot.
And you can choose 5 of these. So thriving, small town feel, access to outdoor recreation, a walkable downtown, safe and welcoming, family friendly, a strong sense of community, a strong and diverse economy, diverse housing options, sustainable, a high quality of life, promotes health and well-being, collaborative and empowering atmosphere, or smart infrastructure investments. And smart infrastructure is on the second page. I couldn't reformat that, sorry. So you check 5 that you think are the current representation of Lewiston, how you feel. And then looking forward, 20 years in the future, which of these words or phrases should describe Lewiston in 2044? So this is, what do we want to see happen between now and 2044? Do we want to be thriving? Do we want to still have that small town feel? Do we want to have access to outdoor recreation, a walkable downtown, safe and welcoming, family friendly, strong sense of community, strong and diverse economy, diverse housing options, sustainable, a high quality of life, promotes health and well-being, collaborative and empowering atmosphere, and smart infrastructure investments? Again, you select 5 on that motion. And then number 3, so a vision statement should be in keeping with the values and things that people love about this community. So we would like you to consider this as a possible vision statement. In 2044, Lewiston is a prosperous city with a strong sense of community, small town feel, thriving and historic downtown, resilient and diverse economy, smart infrastructure investments, a collaborative and innovative community, and a high quality of life. So look at that statement and then rate how well you think that statement reflects what people love about Lewiston. So 10 would be, yes, this is 100%, all these things. 1 is, no, you completely missed the mark. And then anything in between. Think, yes, maybe, we're getting close. No, not so much.
I feel like, maybe this is kind of what we would want Lewiston to become, is how I.
Yes, so you have to go with that in 2044.
Right.
So you rate that a 1 to 10. And number 4, so are there parts of that statement that are not keeping with the values of Lewiston? Do you think any parts of that statement are not what you want Lewiston to be in 2044? You can select all that apply.
What if none apply? Wait,
Then NA, just put NA next to it. And that's,
okay.
and then I know that you meant to not check any of that. So then what parts of the draft vision statement are the most reflective of Lewiston's values? So which ones do you think match up most correctly to how you would like to see Lewiston be in 2044? And that can be all of them if you think all of these things match up with Lewiston's values, or if you think, we're not quite there on some of them, then don't check those ones.
What we think it is now. Correct.
For Lewiston's values, yes. Okay, so then themes. So themes are key ideals that will run through the plan and help show what types of actions may be taken to support the vision.
Can we take just a minute?
Do you need more time? Okay.
Yeah.
I would.
Because I'm trying to listen to you and I'm still back here. Sorry, I'm slow.
You're fine.
I don't think I'm far behind. So 3 is, which ones are the most reflective of Lewiston's values? And then I can select up to 3, right?
Yes. So which parts of the draft vision are most reflective of Lewiston's values? You get to pick 3 of those.
And that's in 40, future, right?
Well, I mean, I kind of feel like our values are gonna hopefully stay the same. But yes, so how do you see their values now? Okay, we're ready for themes? So themes are key ideals that will run throughout the plan and help show what types of actions may be taken to support the vision. So this is where we kind of develop what we want to see happen, and that helps us determine how we're gonna make those things happen, right? So, one of the draft themes is collaboration, facilitation, and investment. Lewiston makes strategic investments while building community trust and connections with and between stakeholders. So, do you think that that theme aligns with the values of Lewiston? And can be like, yes, 100%. One's gonna be like, nope, you missed the mark, or anything in between. And then thinking of that theme, collaboration, facilitation, and investment, Lewiston makes strategic investments while building community trust and connections with and between stakeholders. There are actions. We want you to rank how well you think these actions will help fulfill this theme. Okay, so 1 being the most effective, 5 being the least effective. So active collaboration with residents, businesses, and partner organizations, is that gonna make this happen? Is streamlining regulations and processes what needs to happen? Supporting business development, ensuring taxpayer dollars are used efficiently, or consistent implementation of smart infrastructure investments?
And you can mark them all 5 and it wouldn't matter? Or are you wanting,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's fine.
right, but they can all be 5.
Least effective, isn't it?
So 5 is least effective,
Oh, least
so 1 is
effective.
most effective.
Okay, I'm looking at
And-
But you want
sorry.
them ranked, you don't want
Yes, we
like
want
2
them,
ones.
we want them ranked.
As to which one is the most important.
Yes, so
Okay.
put them in the order that you think most effective to least effective for making this vision statement, or this theme statement, sorry, happen. Okay, so our next draft theme statement is economic resilience and diversification. Lewiston prospers as a regional economic hub. So again, we want you to tell me what you think that if that theme aligns with the values of Lewiston, 10 being most aligned, 1 being least aligned, or anything in between.
Is this now or what we want to see? That's where, and some of these I'm trying to kind of figure out, is it now that you want or what you want us to see in 2044?
I would say both. Do you think that this is true for the values of Lewiston now? Do you think it's gonna be true in the future? Like, would you consider us a regional economic hub now?
No, okay.
Okay, and then again, thinking of that theme and pushing forward into the future, let's talk about statements that will help us fulfill this so that prosperity as a regional economic hub continues, improves, gets bigger, et cetera, right? So again, you're gonna rank these 1 to 5, 1 being the most effective, 5 being the least effective. So we have leveraging economic development opportunities, capitalizing on the Port of Lewiston, Idaho's only seaport, developing and retaining a skilled workforce, fostering a business-friendly atmosphere for a diverse range of industries, services, and businesses, and creating a resilient and pro-growth business climate that attracts employers and employees. 1 is most effective, 5 is least effective. How do we continue to make sure that Lewiston prospers as a regional economic hub. Okay, moving on to number 9. So consider this draft theme. High quality of life. Lewiston provides a high quality of life. Do you think that aligns with the current values of Lewiston? And is the most aligned, so that's yes, do, 1 being the least, no we don't, or anywhere in between. So then thinking into the future for Lewiston provides a high quality of life. You're going to rank the following actions from 1 to 7, so there's 7 this time, not just 5. 1 being most effective, 7 being the least effective for how we accomplish that Lewiston provides a high quality of life. The sustainable stewardship of natural resources, providing access to a wide array of recreational opportunities, especially along the waterfront, enhancing health and social services, expanding housing options, developing quality employment and educational opportunities, maintaining and enhancing efficient transportation systems, and created inclusive, community-oriented spaces with a vast array of entertainment options. You're gonna rank 1 to 7, 1 is most effective, 7 is least effective. How do we provide high quality of life? Okay, so moving on to opportunities. So opportunities are places where the vision meets reality. So consider what places in Lewiston could change the future to help realize the vision. The identified opportunities listed in this section are a reflection of community input received. So the map before is for the reference. It shows Lewiston is currently broken up into neighborhoods. So each of these areas is a neighborhood as defined by our land use. And so we have North Lewiston, Normal Hill, East Lewiston, West Orchards, Country Club, Central Orchards, East Orchards. So, what opportunities are present in our downtown Lewiston, Normal Hill, East Lewiston area that you would like to see realized by 2044? And you can select all that apply. So improve access and connectivity for pedestrians and bikes. Transition the Snake River Avenue into a more residential and commercial use area. Right now it's manufacturing area. Make downtown more vibrant with additional activities, shopping, and entertainment options. Develop the former Twin Cities food site, the old Pea Plant, which is to the north of us, between downtown and the confluence of the rivers. Create additional recreational open space along the waterfront. Invest in updated utilities. Develop a convention or event space. Create a business incubator to help small businesses thrive. Develop additional housing options. Or if there's something that like is tickling in your brain and it's not listed on the list, just write a rib and I will add it. If there's anything in those areas, downtown Lewiston, Normal Hill, East Lewiston, that you're like, why isn't this here? Put that in other. Write her down. Then same question, different neighborhood. What opportunities are present in North Lewiston that you would like to see realized by 2044? And again, select all that apply. Develop a cruise ship dock to support tourism. Create a business and technology park. Create additional recreational and open space along the waterfront, or other. You can always refer back to the map if you are trying to figure out like what the boundaries of each of those neighborhoods are. That's the point of the map. And 13, same question, different neighborhoods. And what opportunities are present in the orchards? So that's east, central, and west orchards. There's 3 neighborhoods there. And the country club area that you would like to see realized by 2044. Again, select all that apply. So redevelop underutilized retail spaces, create additional housing options, create additional recreational open space along the riverfront, improve street connectivity, develop additional commercial corners to serve residential areas, create conservation areas where appropriate, invest in utility upgrades to support growth, complete the community park, widen and add sidewalks to narrow substandard streets, or other. Again, if you have an idea that you think should happen in that neighborhood, please write it in other. I can add it. And then the last 5 questions are just demographic questions. So choose your neighborhood where you live, choose your age, your housing status, race and ethnicity, and then household income. And if you prefer not to answer, you can put prefer not to answer on all of those. It just gives us an idea of specifically like the age groups and neighborhood groups that we have reached to kind of help us figure out who we haven't reached. Ultimately, the hope is to get as many people from as many different areas of Lewiston to fill out the surveys.
How are you getting this out to the public?
And there'll be a series of social media posts, and then it'll be on the front page of the website also. And then I mentioned this before you came. We do have cards that go out to everybody. The QR code on this card goes directly to the survey link.
Did we already make this, like all of these these cards to hand out, or is there room for opportunity to change these?
Like, what do you want changed on them?
So some of the older folks, I've gotten feedback, have a hard time understanding the QR code concept, and so maybe putting what a QR code is and how do they utilize it.
It does say scan this code to take the questionnaire, so I believe we did add that information. I
with
previously did hand surveys at the senior luncheons to try to capture more of that demographic.
Okay.
I don't know that I've had that much problem with the QR code, but it does say how you do it to get you to it.
And it is the same thing as on the, like you said, the front page of the website.
It will be on the front page, it's not there yet.
You know, the time frame that will be. I have some seniors in my life that I would like to have fill this out, but wanna tell them to go there, and then.
So it's on, like, if you went to that QR code, it'll go there.
Right, they,
Or if
like
you-
she was saying, they don't know how to use it.
Yes, if you went just to this website right there, City of
Right.
Lewiston, Division Lewiston, it's there, it's just not on the front page.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
alright,
It's on
It's
the
on the-
Envision 24,
gotcha, okay.
I put it there, but I'm not allowed to touch the front page, so
Understood.
I can't put things there.
I think what I was getting at is they don't know to even use their phone to
Oh, I
scan
get
the
you.
QR code.
They don't.
And then,
Right.
so on that note, a lot of those people watched KLEW religiously.
So we previously sent out press releases to KAW, they did not participate with us.
Oh,
Yeah, and I don't know if there's gonna be a better chance of that now that they're not local, so.
Oh, I thought
Yeah,
that
they're
was,
not local.
yeah, I know that part,
Yeah,
that's what I
none of
thought,
the
that's why I
people-
thought they weren't participating, because
Oh.
they were being,
No, I had this, when I had reached out before, cause that was in April. There was still local people there,
Right.
and I didn't get any traction, so. We try to push it out as many ways as we can, like, but
so
I can't make people want to engage with me, so.
create an event, so they'll send
Do you wanna send this over to her?
one local sportscaster that we have.
I'll definitely let them know that I'm gonna be at farmer's market, but again, that's in farmer's market.
Nope.
Madam Chair, so I noticed, when we were doing the reservoir update,
Mhm.
I don't know who was able to do that, but when you went to the Tribune, and I took a picture of it, cause I wanted to say kudos whoever did that, is when you first go into the Tribune, it had a thing, high reservoir update. And that was really awesome, it was the first thing you had, it was a,
I'll check with our PIO,
It was a-
Carol, and
yeah.
see if she set that up.
So, yeah, as soon as you
or-
come in, before you could even go to the rest of the paper or something, it came up with high reservoir update, and I thought, very cool, cause
Maybe
I,
something similar for this.
yes, and
Yeah, I
so
can
seeing if they
see
can do
if
that
that's-
because.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a paid.
Cause
I
then you
haven't-
just clicked it and it took you right to the city's website, and I really appreciated that to give you an update of what was going on.
Maybe that or
Website provider can't
website
do this
for the
much.
No,
newspaper.
when I went into the Lewiston paper, I took a picture of it,
Tribune,
yeah, the,
okay. But was
And-
it on their app, or was it on like through the website kind of thing?
just kind of through the website, I was looking for an article or something, and I clicked on the article, and, it took me straight, to,
Oh.
and it popped up, and I took a picture of it, here it is. So this is what it looked like, so as soon as you, that's
I
what,
don't
it-
remember seeing it,
yeah.
it just doesn't.
and it was great, and then you say yes, and.
Yeah, I can definitely reach out to our public information officer, because she's the one who's ultimately in charge of doing all the social media and putting it on the front page of the website, and find out how
It
that
was,
partnership
it was
is done.
sponsored, and now the other thing is, it was also sponsored by Inland Cellular, because We Care About Community was their thing, so they helped sponsor that app.
Okay, I can find out about that, because I don't know. I am just a lowly planner. I don't get to do any of the cool stuff.
Never say that.
Okay, so is everybody done?
We sent ours around.
You sent yours
Oh,
around, I
yeah.
think I have a couple
Did my best.
here.
Me too.
I was like,
I got
I'm
confused on a
lost,
couple
I need
of
more
these.
time when I'm thinking these things through.
I know.
I can't do it just on the fly.
But you're right, we would have probably taken too much time.
Well, this,
I would probably
I
forgot about it.
ponder at home,
Yeah,
and
I
I
do
gotta
too.
think about it.
And
I think it's one of those things where unfortunately people are like, oh, I have time, or oh, it doesn't close for a month and a half.
Yep.
Oh, I'll do it later. But unfortunately, people get busy, people forget, and it gets, it gets buried under something, and then it doesn't get done, so.
Well, I did the online, there was a survey a few months ago, and there was,
Yes.
on that one, and it just took me a while just to kind of ponder and think about it, but I went through the whole thing, it took me an hour, but I was just, cause I wanted to think, and I wanted to kind of the thought process, and I did a little research, here and there, I was thinking, well, did we do that? You're trying to remember things, and so, then you go back, and so, it just took me a little while longer, as I was thinking about it, and kind of thinking about, it just, sometimes, these are big decisions. This is not just something fly-by-night.
No,
You're
this is a
talking
large-
about,
This is an
yeah.
18-month process.
Exactly. And it affects the entire community.
It does.
And so you wanna take time to really kind of think about it and what would make the community grow and thrive and be a wonderful in 2044, so.
Exactly.
So those are a little more spontaneous.
Yeah, I was like,
But I think
You are very welcome. So you'll probably see me again when we get to phase 3, because I will be visiting all boards and commissions again at that point. But otherwise, like I said, pass out the cards. They will be available at all city buildings, and there'll be like little posters that kind of go with them to kind of direct you to go do it. And then we will be at those couple of farmers markets. And if you are a member of any of those other bodies, you might see me at Rotary or the Chamber or Valley Vision or whoever else I get to go talk to. 'Cause,
Are we missing a certain age group that you can tell so far?
there was not as much on the youth,
Okay,
so we
that's
are
what I was
working with the school district and Twin County United Way for their like day of caring they do with the senior population, with the senior high schoolers, to try to get more of like the high schoolers. I do meet with like the Youth Advisory Commission, but that's, a small group, much like all the other boards and commissions, so. I'm not 100% sure how we get more of them to input, but,
Is it under 30 that you're missing?
no, it's like 19.
Oh,
It's
under
young,
30.
young,
Okay.
young, yeah.
Right.
Like,
One of the
do you
things
have
that
like
live there-
technical center or different places
Yeah.
like that? Could you put posters up or?
And that's part of what we're working with the school district.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
What else, Kevin?
All right.
Being on planning and zoning and the steering committee, do I fill out multiple?
No, you just don't. I mean, you can.
Okay.
I will take your response as many times as you want, I don't. But, yeah, you'll see this again on Monday, then you'll see it again in 2 Wednesdays. Yeah, you're gonna see it a whole bunch. All right, any other questions for me? Awesome, thank you so much for having me, you guys.
Thank you,
you.
appreciate it. Okay, moving on to 5, discussion items. We have future agenda planting, planning, not planting, I've been planting. This is planning now. Okay, discussion to assist staff in planning future agenda action. This is an action item.
So we were supposed to talk about speed limits and signage this
Okay.
month, but that got bumped because of staff availability. So instead, as a kind of cobbled together last minute thing, we're gonna do planning this next 6 months on what you guys wanna discuss, learn about, whatever you wanna do. So we've provided the adopted master plans that we've got, as well as some policies and studies that we can certainly bring forward to you guys if you wanna be provided with an overview, or if you wanted to start looking at doing that kind of overarching plan coordination that the groups talked about in previous meetings, we could certainly do that. It's ultimately up to you guys how you want the next 6 months to go.
So what were the 2 things that we were going to do today? Speed limits and what?
I believe signage.
Signage?
I believe.
Because we just developed a signage program a couple of years ago, I thought. Anyway.
And I know the city engineer had worked with some of our development staff to put together some just basic traffic engineering standards that the department operates off of, but
I think what it was, excuse me, Madam Chair.
Oh, not signs. Okay, got it. Speed signs and all of
Yes,
that.
it was gonna tie back.
That's
'cause
right.
We
Thank
were
you.
discussing the
Mhm.
speed limits, and part of the problem is there's not enough signage with regards to speed limits throughout town, so, which we were gonna have the officers address today
That's
and
right.
kind of provide some background as why that would be helpful and learn a little bit more about speed limits, so
Yeah,
that.
my mind went directly to downtown signage, not speed signs. Sorry, I'll catch up with you yet.
Well, is this open discussion, Madam?
Yes,
Okay.
please do.
One of the things I guess I'm concerned about right now, and I thought it was gonna be brought up, which I really think it needs to be in the September meeting, just because of how things, timelines and negotiations, happen, is the composting, since that contract is coming up. And there has to be a decision one way or another, and that is part of Public Works. I was kind of hoping we kind of get some sort of information with regards to that, since that has a big impact on the entire community. A lot of people use that facility, I use that facility. It's extremely busy there, so, to me, that would seem like it's a high priority, but I open it up to the rest of the
No, I totally agree.
committee.
I think that seems appropriate to look at the items that are, you know, if there are any time frame constraints on any of these, maybe align those with that.
And the only other kind of timed one that you may be interested in is the annual transportation CIP update. That first call for projects is issued in November for a 30-day comment period. So we could put that on the
Yes.
agenda?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
We choosing, say, cause it looks like we're just gonna move these up and plug them into where plug them in here, these go up in there, right?
It's up to you, they're just color-coded to let you know what kind of realm they exist in.
Right, but I mean, so do we wanna limit, say, 2 of these per meeting? Because in the interest of not having a 6-hour meeting? Or am I not thinking correctly?
No, and that's why I think we need to say what our priorities are, so we
Right.
can get it on the calendar over the next
So-
few
so-
months.
Okay, so I agree that we need to talk about the time sensitive ones, very much so. And that, I assume that next meeting, that's when we're gonna talk about the speed limits and the signage thing also, is that correct?
That's up to you guys. We had talked in the last meeting about doing sanitation contracts in September, but since the traffic engineering got bumped, it's completely up to you guys.
Well, I mean, so the sanitation contracts,
As far as I know, there's no timeline for the speed limits nor traffic calming policy. Cause that was something that I was bringing up and I was gonna, when we came up with a plan, bring to the mayor to present, so.
Sure.
We can wait on that one if we want to address the ones that we have like a cutoff and put that out for a little later.
The adopted studies, are those currently going with the city, facilitating them, or what are the adopted studies here?
So the adopted plans and studies are things that have gone to city council and have been approved and are publicly available.
So those I feel like don't seem worth talking about.
Unless they're at a point that have to be reissued, it's time to redo the plan again.
Cause you've got 15, 18.
And that's why I don't know, that was gonna be one of my questions, since,
I think the user fees, all of these I think are coming up at our current meeting, is right? Our next meeting this Monday. A lot of them. Sorry, I'm talking to you, Counselor.
I'm sorry?
The Lewiston user fee study, I think, aren't we discussing that at this coming Monday's meeting?
I do believe so.
So we really won't have time to discuss it,
And
is
then,
what I was getting at.
exactly, so,
And the Lewiston user fee study is specific to the stormwater utility.
which one is, say that again?
The 2022 Lewiston user fee study.
Okay.
so we shouldn't even put that on a list right away because we're going to be looking at it at council.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Monday on the 14th is a public hearing of the stormwater drainage system utility, wastewater utility, water utility, and sanitation utility user rates for fiscal year 2024. And the stormwater drainage system utility rates are based off of what was proposed in that study.
Which we already gave feedback on a couple meetings ago,
For the
correct?
permit, I think too, didn't you? For the
And
municipal
this
permit.
preceded the commission, this was adopted in 2022.
Oh. So what's going before on Monday then, if it's already been
The
adopted?
rate resolutions
Yeah.
for
Resolution.
2024.
And is the infrastructure scoping study coming up again, or is that?
And that was just for downtown and it combined all the already adopted. master plans and studies for the downtown corridor. And so that's pretty much a done deal. It might come up as a future topic of the next stage for actually phasing the construction or hiring a contractor, but at this point, I don't believe there's any future planning.
Draft policies then are those approval?
Those are currently being worked on. We can certainly bring them to the group for your review.
Well, so, okay. And I'm gonna go back to what Commissioner Rader has said. Then sort of what is our function then? You know, because some of these things are already going to council, so it's kind of like you shoulda, woulda, coulda, way back when.
Yep.
You know, these other policies and stuff kind of going forward, then, you know, especially a winter storm event response plan, I would think, especially since it's part of streets and all that bit, I would think that would be something that would come before this committee to kind of review and have some input on before that gets finalized, or am I wrong? Because I'm kind of like, well then,
And there's already an existing storm event response plan, it's just an update, and we can certainly bring that forward to you guys. And everything that's on here is just to give you ideas of what we already have in place and what we're working on, but don't feel shackled to anything that's here. Whatever you guys want to talk about, we can certainly do so. Just wanted to give you an idea of what we have in place already, what we're working on, and agenda topics that you guys have brought.
So I think one of the purposes we could serve is to take those existing master plans, because all of those are gonna have basically a list of capital improvements that may or may not be prioritized. And talked at one point about maybe tackling one of the master plans at each meeting, like at least kind of just going through it before the meeting or skim through it before the meeting, and then discuss kind of the implementation parts of that and weigh in on priorities and those kind of things, kind of in advance of budgeting and capital planning. Seems like that's one way we could get in front of this is these adopted master plans, like I said, have alternatives in there, and we could weigh in on priorities.
and I think we talked about, just to kind of reiterate on that point, is that we also talked about some that are, you know, when we were talking about budgeting, like the CIP in particular, that should be a living document every year versus your master plans, because your master plans, as you know, some of those things just are for very long term, but some of them accomplish, whereas you can't always go back and update a master plan all the time. And sometimes other higher priorities come through, and that's where your CIP can come in, is you utilize the CIP for those types of projects that come up in between the plans, so then when you're going back to the master plans, you're using your CIP document, which is your living document, to update your master plans. So, but, I mean, we really should kind of, like, you know, like Commissioner Ryder said, is that we really should kind of, as a group, kind of get up to speed, especially for budgeting next year, and then have an understanding so that when is the anticipated lifespan of some of these plans in going forward? Because I'm looking at dates here, like 2008, is that, you know, the sidewalk master plan? Is that necessary, or is that something that can be done through like a CDBG or something? I mean, because I'm also kind of trying to think, some of these things are not cheap. So do you need that master plan in that direction, or is there another way to go about that? Your bike master plan, I know, you know, sometimes they combine these into, sometimes they combine them into the transportation plans as an appendix. So I don't know, I'm just kind of throwing some ideas out there, but until we kind of have that discussion, like you were saying, it's kind of hard to kind of know where we're going as a commission and what to kind of forecast for the future as well. It sounds like we have a couple high priorities right now that really need to be addressed. So I don't know, I put it out there to everybody else as well.
So I think the way that she's describing this is that this is your reins here, right? You can decide as a committee, what do we feel like is important and what do we wanna look at? And so she's giving you the tool, and now you just kinda have to decide on the timeline where you wanna put it and when do you wanna discuss it. I don't think it matters that it's already been adopted, cause a lot of that, like you said, for the following year, you can then say, hey, we've looked over this past year, this is what we're recommending to you for the future. And so really what you would need to do is just tell her, you know, we want bicycle master plan on the December timeline, and we're gonna talk about it then, or whatever, I'm just throwing that out there, I don't know what time. Cause we're kind of in a new committee here where we're trying to make something out of it and trying to, and come with a timeline and quality topics to go over, so that's why we're kind of, and where it doesn't seem like we have a purpose, but this, now we're creating that now.
Correct, but that's why I was asking on these, is there already movement? Because sometimes I feel like we don't hear what the movement is and the movement's already gone. So that's why I said, is there movement right now for the 2008? We don't know. Staff might have already started it, you know, that's where it's kinda like, I'm trying to ask what's going on behind the scenes so that we can prioritize, because, you know, 2008's a long time ago.
Well, yeah.
For all I know, you know, engineering already has a RFP out there.
It's a one-page map.
You know,
It's a light read.
and, you know, and so I'm just kinda saying, you know, did you already do that, or have you already started with a consultant? Because sometimes we don't know, and so that's where I was just kind of asking that feedback so that we can know.
The only plan that I'm aware of has potential to be updated in the next few years is the wastewater plan.
That's it.
Yes, that's the only one
It's
that
taken a lot of our time.
we've had some rumblings about,
Really?
but,
Oh,
but everything else is,
wait,
Still
you said wastewater, okay.
yes.
So, I mean, and we don't have to do the next, like outline the next 6 months right here, do we?
No.
Okay, so, I mean, just in the interest of moving forward, I mean, the things that I think are kind of go along the lines with what Laura said is the composting, that's a contract that's coming up, I think we should discuss that. And then the CIP, the transportation CIP, so we can have more of an overview of things. We discuss those two in the September meeting. Then, you know, maybe pick what we wanna talk about in October, and then in September, we'll pick what we wanna do in November, that kind of thing, so we're leapfrogging a little bit in that respect, instead of trying to, and then we have some flexibility, because when we read the transportation CIP, that might open up a whole lot of things that we wanna change, you know, whatever, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Or am I just
We
being,
could have a whole section on traffic calming.
or am I just being,
Sorry. No, I think that's right. Presumably the 23 transportation capital improvement plan came or was born out of the 2020 transportation plan, I would assume. So really, I think you're right, kind of couple some of those that make sense. You know, we've got a lot of these on here that with that same theme. The only capital improvement plan we have, which we could potentially weigh in on, is the transportation one. We've also got some other traffic-related stuff, speed limits, traffic calming.
right,
I mean, it seems like that would be a good
those two
Single-
together, I same thought.
single meeting.
Yeah, one meeting, because that will be a lot to cover.
Sure.
You wanna split transportation between October, November?
Sure.
Okay.
Because it will be so much information.
So that would be talking about the CIP,
Yeah, so.
traffic calming, and traffic and speed limits.
So the plan first, maybe, so that we can understand.
So the 2020
full breadth,
plan,
and then you're narrowing in on the capital improvement plan.
Yes.
so you're talking about the 2020 plan in September with the composting, and then the 2023 CIP in October, along with something else.
When does the winter event response plan have to be completed so it's available for the community at that point, when it's?
So it's already available on the website, and the street maintenance manager, I believe he tries to do an annual review just to see if there's anything else that we could beef up. But probably by November.
So we could put that on. September's already full, this is August, yeah, so maybe October, just to make sure before the winter months, just to
Sure.
kind of.
I just put it there.
Probably already said this, but what's the traffic calming policy?
So
Update, or
that's
is that a new
a
policy?
new policy, and we kind of look to other municipalities for ideas, and Moscow has a pretty good policy that's similar, and so it's the onus is on the residents to get buy-in from their neighborhoods on any kind of bulb outs or
I was gonna say, doesn't that
Like
tie,
speed
doesn't that
limiting.
tie into the traffic, to
Yes.
the speed limits and traffic? So I think that's kind of a,
and we did have that plan to bring to you guys for this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a hold of, what's his name that Chief Kuzik requested that would be presenting, did he say? I can't remember, he told me. Officer.
We did have a couple officers,
Oh, we had a couple
Officers
officers?
right here, yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
unfortunately,
Um,
yeah.
So what you're talking about, the neighborhood buy-in, that is something similar to what happened over on, is it 19th Avenue?
Not familiar.
Where they did the roundabout, small
Oh,
roundabout,
on
and then there's a couple of speed bumps. We're talking between 17th and, say, 8th.
Oh, those weird little ones with the,
Yeah.
oh.
They're
It
traffic
was
circles.
my understanding that the neighborhood really pushed the city, the people that live on that street really pushed the city to do that. And then everybody else in the city was screaming about, that looks so stupid, why are we doing this? Why
You know,
are
I-
we spending the money?
My
I
understanding
felt
that would
that.
be a similar thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I had an example in my head.
That's beside the point, but I had said the same, cause I kinda have my quarrels with it and I pass by that every day. But then someone's like, well, does it slow you down? I'm like, well, yeah,
Well, that's the purpose.
I don't like it, but
I
it
mean,
achieved its
It really
purpose.
became a thoroughfare, I mean,
It
it really
was
did.
horrible.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
people
Well, and
wanting
there's
to
kids
avoid
around there all the
16.
time.
No,
Yeah.
it was needed there.
As far as active contracts go too, it probably would be good to get in front of that Asotin County Regional Landfill if everything's going there by 2025, if that's gotta be renegotiated and everything else. Some time. So
I
it would be good to-
wholeheartedly agree with that, and that was one of the things that I was gonna bring up too, so thank you for doing that, because that's our only landfill.
Yeah, so when it says 625 on that, is that the end of the contract, or is that the? So would the contract negotiation be taking place like fall of 24?
Something like that.
Yeah, it would have to happen ahead of
So,
time.
yeah, we'd wanna be, something like maybe in
Give on that.
in January for that, but well ahead.
the other one, that we discussed when we were doing our stormwater permit, the MS4 permit, that's coming up. You have to do it so many months ahead of time, you have to put a request into the NPDS folks, and you have to start your negotiations with them. So I think, at that point, knowing when that is going, when the letter's gonna go forward, just to know that that's been done, submitted, get a copy of that. And then maybe prior to that, just kind of understand the aspects of the permit better, so that people understand what the lobs are gonna be back and forth, because what they're going to do is basically hand you a new one, and then you start negotiating, saying, well, no, that's gonna take too many such and such, or we don't have the resources. So you go back and forth, and some of them are kind of a given. I hate to tell you all, they're just basically gonna tell you no, and they shove it down your throat. Other ones, they'll say, okay, let me put it this way, they never remove anything typically, but what they'll do is they'll allow you, instead of like, let's say you have to do community outreach, and they want you to do 10 outreach events, you say that's just not possible with the staff and all that bit, you can negotiate down to five or six, and they'll say, okay, you can do 5, and and what types are. So it's kind of good to know about that, and so I'd like to kind of, I wanna say it's 6, I can't remember the dates, but I wanna say it's in 2024, you're gonna have to do the dates, for that. So if you can put that on this to let us know when that contract and when that permit's coming around.
And so we have to do our annual report for that permit on December 1st every year. And the stormwater drainage system utility, if the rates are approved on Monday, goes into effect January 1. So is that something you guys would like to talk about, the MS4 permit in December? That'd be a good,
Or prior.
I was gonna say, if December first is the permit date, maybe in November would be a good time.
and it'll be our third year out of a 5-year MS4 permit cycle, so we do have 2 posted already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. December.
So these are just annual reports at this point, and then adoption of the fee associated with
So, yeah,
so there's probably not a whole lot for us to
Not on
look
the
at
annual
until
report.
the permit reapplication is.
The
what you're
permit
doing.
is
2 years from
the,
now.
right, that is the critical thing for everybody to kind of see and understand what kind of those negotiations are. The annual report is just basically them answering the questions of, did you do 10 events, what were they? Did you do the outreach to this? Did you start an illicit discharge program? You know, yes or no, what is that plan, et cetera. So you're answering those questions. It tells you in the report that you have until a certain year and date to complete all those things. And so some of the reports, when you go look at the past ones, they say, not at this time, not at this time, knowing that their last, year of the permit is 2024, so they have that up until that point to complete those tasks. And if you don't, then you have to provide an explanation back to them as to why not. So,
I bring it up as a potential December topic, just because Jeff, you already met him, he presented that policy a month or 2 ago. He'll be able to kind of give you an idea of what the system looks like right now, what we're able to do with staffing or lack thereof right now, what we're able to do or not do with funds right now, and hopefully January 1, we'll actually have some funding to back those operations and maintenance costs, and then provide another update for 2024, and maybe it'll be night and day, but it's up to you guys. We're here to provide whatever information you're interested in getting your hands on.
should we just kind of go with those few? I don't know, I mean, that's a lot right now for us
I
to,
think it's
over the next few months.
almost too much for 3 months of September.
Oh, God, it is 3 months.
That's
So
why I
it
kinda
also goes
said
up
two
here.
a month,
Yeah,
so we're not.
seems like the policy stuff, so the composting we can agree on, the other 2 draft policies possibly, if we wanna take a look at those, get those done now, so we don't bump up against the time frame on those. And then do we wanna talk about the speed limits, traffic engineering next month, or?
I would like to not push that out too far, because
I
that
was
goal is
thinking-
getting it done sooner than later.
I was thinking the speed limit thing in, the November meeting. That's where I've got that, just for me writing down, for September, the Trans 2020 composting, October, winter storm, 2023 CIP.
I have September is the 2020 transportation plan, and then
Yeah.
October, the 2023, is
Yeah.
that correct?
Isn't that
Okay.
what I said?
What's the goal of the speed limit traffic engineering, just to understand what we have in place, or?
It's to change speed limits.
Modify if we think it's necessary.
And the numbers of signs and things of that nature. Lacking, after you said that, I started.
Looking around.
I started looking around, it's like, geez, right.
Well, it wasn't even me that brought it up, it was Chief Cusick that was like, yeah, and the signs, and I'm like, never really thought about that,
Yeah,
so.
it's
I started
true.
looking around also.
It's true.
What was the reasoning we had so many cops, more than one? Wanting to, just their opinions on it? Sorry.
I'm not sure, Captain Fuentes was one, and then I don't remember who the other officer was, but I wasn't even aware of that.
I think it's the
Sometimes
Who are gonna be attending.
Different perspectives.
I was just curious, because I know there was one for sure that Cusick had approached, so I didn't realize there was others that wanted to share their opinions.
So, speed limit in November,
That's fine.
and then what else would we like to talk about that we haven't already?
Were you gonna talk about the MS4 permit, or no?
That'll work.
Well, the MS4, I think if you could let us know next month when the permit guidelines are, and that might be a December, January.
Oh, okay.
Because I think
So-
it's a matter of getting right before the negotiations, and what the timeline, I wanna say it's like May or June, April, May, where they have to submit the letter to start saying, yes, you wanna renegotiate.
And that's for the contract, which
No,
is 2
that's for
years.
the MS4 permit.
The permit,
Yeah,
which is,
you have to, you have
2
to
years.
reach out to them.
but in 2 years, it's required, right? Is it that's
It's
the
Due
one?
in 2 years, so you.
It's
Yeah.
in 2024, right?
So when you were talking,
25.
when you were
25
talking
is when it
about
expires.
the MS4, you said something about hopefully by the first of the year you'd have funding for that. Is that something we need to help work on, is
That's
funding?
the stormwater drainage system utility.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, so we adopted ordinance 4882, which gives the city authority to establish user fees for that utility, but we have not adopted rates. That's what the public hearing on Monday is for.
okay.
And then it'll take a little bit for the money to build.
Yes.
With that said, though, are there things in that permit that we're deficient on right now?
Jeff, our stormwater coordinator, would have a better idea, but likely.
My apologies to the group, yes, it expires midnight on September 30th, 2025, and you must reapply before April 3rd, 2025. So we do have a little time
quite a
on
bit
that
of time.
one to go through,
Yeah.
so, but that one is,
So we've got-
always a fun one, folks.
So we've got the next 2 months planned,
Yes.
and
Three.
then next month we can plan with November and then like that kind of thing. Is that okay? Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, cause you guys have September composting, October CIP, transportation plan, right?
Yes.
And then speed limits November, possibly.
Yeah, we have this, September was the 2020 transportation plan along with composting, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And then the winter storm and 2023 CIP.
Makes sense before the winter
October.
hits.
Yes, that's what I have.
Okay.
That MS4, probably if we're gonna do the stormwater master plan at some point, that'll be in.
So yeah, we can
Yeah,
push that out
we'll be
into
touching on
20,
it.
we can start working on that in 2024 before they go into negotiations
Alright.
in April of 25. Or before then, yeah, so,
Sounds good.
forgot I had it with me.
And like with any meeting, we didn't do it on this one, that's why this agenda's been amended. So we usually have future agenda topics at the end, but since we're having this discussion, it just got lumped into this one. So if there's anything that you do wanna add for the future that we could come and circle back around to try to plan out, now is the time for that.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So at our, I don't know if it was about the last meeting, but I think it was the meeting before, we talked about sending a letter to WashDOT regarding the bridge and maintenance for the bridge, and I have not seen that letter come before us to approve.
Mhm.
Right, it's gonna be a letter from this committee, to them to basically say, we would like, because, storm season's coming up and stuff, so.
We don't want a river on the, above the river,
Right,
please.
so I
Keep the river
just
where-
wanted to remind if we could get that letter so that we can,
And so I don't know if that comes from staff or if that comes from you guys.
I think
That's
maybe
what
just
I'm
putting it
not
on the
aware
agenda
of.
so that we make sure we work out a plan to write it.
or usually maybe staff can just kind of give us a draft based on the comments and everything that going back and forth. And then we can just edit it at that point, get it approved, and then the chair can sign it on behalf of our committee when it's available.
Bringing that up, I'd forgotten that. I don't see any reason for me to not be available on the 13th. Anyone else available for our next meeting on September 13th?
I will not be able to attend.
Oh, no.
Oh, then, I'll probably
I'll be here.
I should be good that day too.
That's gonna be back?
Yes.
I kinda thought so, yeah.
He's like,
He should
taking
be
a
back,
year.
he should be back Monday, he's gotta talk to the council on Monday.
That's
doesn't he?
right.
You better be here. Yeah, it's
Okay.
13 works for me.
Okay,
Do we
so-
have enough though, people attending to make a meeting?
Well, we are supposed to have 2 new, so
Oh,
I
that's
think
right.
we should be okay if I'm doing my math
I
correctly.
think,
Does that give you enough?
Was I one of the new, or is there?
Yes.
I think you were
And
one of
so,
them.
our other recommendation to appoint Gabe Icoboni on Monday, he was not appointed. So,
the mayor said at this time he wasn't ready to do that. Nick
I
gave
thought
no
he-
reason.
Oh, I thought he did another person, sorry.
No,
Yes,
yes, he did.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I thought he was meeting another person with a different commission. I think I misunderstood him.
So does that mean we need to do more interviews?
He never indicated.
Well, it sounds like then we do, we have still an opening, but so polling again, so you're available on the 13th? Or not?
I might be able to attend remotely.
So you're a no.
I should be here.
Okay, I
Oh,
think
you're right, it was just the two.
you should have enough.
Well, so I thought he said for the Historic Preservation Committee, Tamara, I thought is who he said he wasn't ready.
It was,
And then we went ahead
It was
and did
Gabe.
okay for Public Works.
but no, it was for
Brent was
Gabe.
approved, but Gabe was not.
Yeah, it was Gabe that was not approved for whatever commission, but I thought it was this one, yes.
Yeah, but, yeah.
Okay, so going on with upcoming meetings, we've got city council regular session, August 14th, that's gonna be a very long evening. August 21 as well, and August 28 for city council regular sessions.
What are the special sessions for?
So the next three that are on there are
Like
budget
budget.
focused, so the first reading of the FY 23 amendments to the budget and the FY 24 budget proposal are next Monday, along with the rate resolutions. And then the second reading is on the 21st and the third is on the 28th.
6 PM meetings?
Yes.
Well, that would have been good to have direction for it though. The mayor wanted out of that.
Okay, then, going on to 7, unfinished and new business. Board member comments. These comments should not be related to any item currently before the commission or any item that may come before the commission in the foreseeable future, and limited to comments, not discussion. Have any board member comments? Yes, Laura.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to commend staff on getting the reservoirs up and running and
Yes.
everything on the timeline, and you heard a lot of community members extremely relieved that it was all starting. And like I said, I want to also, whoever put the thing on the, flashing up on the Lewiston Tribune, that was excellent, so that people could find out, so I was just extremely pleased and hearing a lot of great comments that I think a lot of people didn't think the city was gonna hold up to that date. And so, great job, well done on all the folks around, so.
Yes. That was amazing. It
Keep
is.
people in the loop.
Hopefully, we didn't have any pump problems when they started up.
Not that I am aware of.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything either.
Yeah.
And there was one over tea where I was rushing in here because I just was finishing a cup of tea. Well, actually, I never got it finished to be here on time. And she was telling me, she said, you know, there's good things that came out of this, water restrictions. And I'm going, well, that's a positive thing. Go ahead, tell me. It was because we rethink what we're doing. We rethink how we're laid out, what we're trying to really achieve with our watering. And like, I did the same thing. I totally revamped my garden. It's totally new and sustainable, and I don't even need a drip system if I don't want it, but part of it could be. And she talked about her whole yard and what she had taken out and was moving around. So there are positive thoughts in all things that come new, but we have to look for those positive thoughts, I think. So anyway, let them know that there, some of us out there got creative and redid because of, and we're glad. So, anyway,
We'll relay that, thank you.
all right, thank you.
Oh, you have another?
Yes,
So I, yesterday attended the Urban Renewal Agency, monthly meeting. And one of their primary topics of discussion was the East Orchard sewer projects that are going on out there. So they've typically been the, I guess, the funding mechanism for
there absolutely have been.
to paying for that. Well, they're considering kind of what to do next out there. So there may be a place for, I guess, this commission. It looks like they're, they've got 6 or 8 years left in that revenue allocation
Yeah,
area
they do.
established. So it might be an area where we could get involved in helping
Wow,
provide some input to them.
Excellent.
excellent, thank you. We'll have to think on that now, something new to think on.
Well, it sounds like it might be a upcoming, because we still have the water, LOID water item to discuss.
And our
That
relationship
sounds-
with the, maybe we have
Is
one
there gonna be meat out of that, discussing that? Do we feel like there's really,
with Lloyd.
well, just this as a committee? Like we're gonna have recommendations to Lloyd on how, what would that look like?
Well, this would be in conjunction with the URA, right, is what you were referring to?
Right.
To make a recommendation of something that we could see that they could do.
Okay.
Because they're looking for another project. Anything? Okay. We sure appreciate you being here. Thank you. Anything from you at all?
Let's see. No, I'm excited, I guess, just a comment, I'm excited to see the future discussions and what we can come up with and make some ground on some stuff and start bringing things to the council to consider, and so I think this is gonna be a valuable tool for our communities to have this, and so hopefully we'll get citizens to show up. My only thing is the time of the day, it's a little hard, I think, for citizens to be here. And I've heard that a lot, because I've told a lot of citizens about this commission, they're like, I can't be there at that time in the middle of work, so, I don't know if that's something, but that's just some feedback I've received. Nice to have some work, citizens
That was staff liaison comment?
here. Yeah, I guess, I don't know.
Oh,
Or,
We're commission, and
Yeah.
we're
Well-
board, she's staff.
I guess we are.
You're commission.
Yeah, it throws me off too, I know.
Okay, so I'm looking at that, like, I don't have anything to comment.
But I don't have anything.
Oh, darn it, okay. All right, then, if there's not anything else, then, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, and all those in favor say aye. Aye. And I'm sure there's no opposed. Thank you very much.
It'll be a weird time to oppose.
Yes, it would be.